Hi everyone, join me today as we paint this whimsical treehouse in watercolor. Today I'm going to be sketching in my Potentate square sketchbook. It contains 100% cotton hot press paper and the pages are square, 19 by 19 centimeter, and I really like the deckled edges to the paper. I am going to start with my sketch already inked on the page. You can find the link to the free traceable sketch reference if you have a look in the description box below. I will also put the link to the traceable sketch on the screen now. I'm just spraying my paints to activate them. Then I'm going to start with some saffron yellow. I'm going to work on the trees first, and I want it to look like the sun is shining from the top, and the more contrast I can get in the foliage, the more the whole painting is going to pop. So I'm putting yellow down first, and I'm going to work half-half. So I'm just going to work on the left-hand side of the tree first, and then whilst it's still wet, I'm going to take ivy green and drop that in at the bottom and allow it to bleed up on its own. When I put the green down, I can also use my brush just to help and encourage it to blend upwards if I need to. But because I'm working wet and wet, it will blend on its own. Then I'll take a bit more ivy green just to increase the concentration at the bottom. And now I'm going to take some green grey and mix it with some ivy green just to further the contrast. So I'll drop that in at the bottom and it'll still blend because it's still wet. But because it's starting to dry, it will blend less, which is exactly what I want. So I'll drop it in at the bottom, and as soon as I do, you can see the nice contrast that forms from the yellow right down to the darker green, which really does give it a bit more contrast and pop. And then I'm just going to repeat exactly the same thing on the right-hand side. Doing it in two halves just gives me more time and less panic whilst I get my three colours down. And then I'll put some of the green onto the grass area. And then using my brush, I'll just flick some areas up to make some grass. And then I'm just increasing the contrast by putting that darker green around the base of the tree. And as it's blended, I will just drop a bit more in just to increase that contrast around the base of the roots. Picking up the yellow now, I'm going to work on the foliage under the windows as well. Because these are much smaller areas than the sections of the tree, I'm going to put the yellow down first and let it dry completely before I come and do the green. Otherwise, if I drop the green in now, it would just blend into the entire area and I wouldn't get the effect that I'm looking for. And then I'll add some green to the grasses around the base of the tree. Now I'm going to put some yellow, mix up some yellow brown, and just put that on the door. And then for a bit of contrast, I'm going to take some Venetian red and just drop that in around the door as well, just so that it's not all the same color. And then I'm going to let this dry. Let's work on the tree now, and I'm going to start with some beige grey. I'm going to water it down a lot and also prepare some yellow brown and Venetian red, just so that I've got a mix of colours ready. Then I'm going to take some flax beige and just add it to that Venetian red just because it was a little bit too intense. So starting with the beige grey, I'm going to work section by section on the tree because there's so much going on and I don't want it to dry out. So I'm going to put the beige grey down as a base colour. I'm going to keep it quite watery so that it doesn't dry out before I get a chance to drop in other colours. Then taking that yellow brown, I'm going to drop it in areas, more along the bottom of each branch, just to start getting a little bit of a shadow. And then I'm just going to keep on working so that these edges don't dry. So you've got to kind of just keep going, keep the edges moving, put your colors down, and then add in your contrast colors when you see that it starts to dry out enough that you can drop in your contrast colors without them spreading too far. So taking that yellow brown, now I can drop it in certain areas of the area that I've just finished. That just starts to give a bit of interest and texture to the tree by having a different color. And then I'm just going to keep working those edges and keeping the color moving from side to side across the tree. Then I'm going to take that shadow color, try and get a bit of a shadow where the tree is casting a shadow on the trunk, and underneath each of the windows, and then underneath each branch as well. I think it really starts coming to life and the trunk starts to get a bit of shape to it as soon as we add the shadow around the edges and in the creases. So then I'm just going to keep on moving through the tree and do the same effect throughout. Lighter color first, keep my edges moving, and then add the shadow colors when I'm ready. It can get a little bit stressful because it's kind of like the more you do it, the bigger the area is that you're busy watching and the more edges that you have. But don't get too stressed. Just keep an eye on what is drying, and if you've got to push edges out a little bit further and then come back to the area and drop some shadow in, then do that. And then this last bit here, I left it to the end because it was a section on its own. So there's far less stress involved there. And then as the colors blend, I'll just keep on adding a bit more of the contrast color under where the bushes are casting a shadow on the trunk, and along the edges wherever it's not dry yet and I feel that I can add a bit more contrast. And let me add a bit more here where the roots are casting shadow on each other. That really does help to separate them from each other and create a bit more contrast. And then I'll rinse and dry off my brush because this area is quite dry by now, and just help this shadow color to blend. And then I'll do the same on the left hand side. The more contrast we can build by leaving the lightest areas lighter and pushing the darker areas as much as we can really does make it appear more lifelike and have more three dimension to it, which I'm sure you can see. It seems that it's like as soon as I add the shadow here that the whole thing springs to life. And then I'll just add a bit of a wooden color on the swing, and then I'm going to let that dry. Right, onto the houses now. I'm going to take that brown mix that I already had mixed up and put that on the roofs. I'm just going to keep it watery so that I can add other color to it, just so that the color is not so flat. Then I'm taking some Indian red, adding it to that just so that we get a different color, and I'm just going to drop it in around the roof to get some difference in color. Then picking up the saffron yellow, I'll do inside the windows. Then I'm going to pick up that Mars yellow and see if I can get drop it in the windows. It might be too wet and the areas might be too small, but I'm going to try and get the graded color in the windows anyway, because I think it makes the interior look warmer. Cherry blossom pink. I'm going to start working on the bunting and do some mixed colors on here. You can really do any colors you want. If you are enjoying this video so far, I would really appreciate it if you would click the like button. Doing this really helps to grow my small YouTube channel, and it also tells YouTube to share videos like this with other people like you who might enjoy it too. Also, let me know what you think in the comments box below. I reply to every comment and really appreciate your feedback. Then I'm going to pick up that saffron yellow and do the lanterns that are dangling around the tree. And picking up that ivy green, I'm going to work on those flower boxes. I'm working wet on dry just because of the small area, and putting in that ivy green at the bottom. And then taking Mars yellow. I'm going to try and again get a bit of a graded color inside the lanterns. And then I'm taking my brownish color in a weak consistency and putting it on the stairs. I'll worry about putting a shadow on that in an additional layer. Taking that yellow brown, I'm just going to drop in a bit of a different color on the stairs. And then that Mars yellow I'm putting in again on the lanterns to try and get a bit of a glow. Then I'll work on the doors. And then getting a bit of a shadow color under the roof there, I'm taking that Venetian red mix and putting it in a slightly thicker consistency under the edge of the roof, just wherever it's going to cast a shadow or be in shadow. Taking my yellow brown now, I'll just do the wooden slats on the tree. And the planks on the walkway. I'll also fill in the platform that the houses are on. And then taking that Venetian red, now that the steps are dry, I'm going to do the shadow side. And then I'll just take a spot of vermilion and do the flag. and I think the roof of the toadstools as well. And then I'm going to let it dry. I want to work on the walls of the houses now, so I'm going to pick up some natural beige and then just do the walls of both houses with that. I'm not trying to get any shadow on any of the sides just yet. I just want to get this color down on all the walls that I can see. Then I'm going to pick up some grayish blue and do the chimneys. And then some yellowish brown again, which I'm going to mix with some blue-grey deep. And I'll do the underside of the platforms that the houses are on to get some shadow there. And then I'll just pick up that Mars yellow and do the flower boxes. Now I'm going to pick up beige grey and just do some bits and pieces that still need to be done. And also a little bit with ecru beige. Just around all of the windows. Now I'm picking up the greyish blue and I'm going to do the shadow side of each of the houses. So I'm going to make that the right hand side and just drop this in as a layer on top of the wall color that I've already put down. I'll do a little bit of a cast shadow underneath the roof as well. And just darken that area, and I think this wall needs a bit more shadow. And then picking up some blue-grey deep. I'm just going to do the shadows around the inside of the windows and also the door. Let me darken that shadow there and do that on the one side. And then I'll add the shadow on the sides of the support planks and the swing. These sorts of shadows just start helping each object get a bit of dimension. Now with flax beige, I'll do the bottom of the toadstools. And then with the greyish blue, I'm going to do the railings around the house. And now I'm just going to move around and see if there's anything that still needs to be done. If you are enjoying this video and you would like to make a donation to me, you can do so on my Buy Me a Coffee platform. I will put the link in the description box below as well as on the screen now. I'm sure you can appreciate that making tutorials like this along with the traceable sketch reference is an immense amount of work, and I appreciate any and all donations. If you have made a donation, thank you. Let's do a bit of sky now. So I'm using my mop brush to put water down on the whole area. And again, I'm going to work half and half to give myself time. So I've just taken water a little bit over the center line and then dropping it in and around the tree branches, etc. Then I'm going to take cobalt turquoise light, just water it down on my brush and then dot it in throughout. I'm not looking for it to be a solid blue color. I want there to be a vignette, so it fades towards the outside. And I'm also happy for the color to be irregular as I put it down, because it will give the effect of clouds. So whilst it's still wet, I'll just keep dropping that blue in. And then I'll use my smaller brush just to help me get up to the edge of the tree and branches. I'll just dot a bit more in down here at the bottom and help it blend. And then I'm going to repeat the same process on the right hand side. If you ever give one of my tutorials a go, I would love to see your finished painting, and you can share that in my Facebook group. I will put the name of the group on the screen now. You can join that group and then feel free to post your finished painting in the group. I would love to see it, and I'll definitely give you a comment on it. And if you would like my feedback, input or advice, then just post it in the group and ask me for it. Now I'm going to use a silver gel pen, and I'll do the mast that the flag is on, and the door handles, and the hinges to the door, and then a Uniball Signo white gel pen, and I'll do the white spots on the mushroom caps. And then I'm just adding a little bit of texture and additional color to the roof tiles. They just look a little bit flat. And I'm just mixing colors. Now I'm going to take some yellow brown. I'm just going to do some dry brush effect on the tree trunk to get some texture. So as you can see, I put the paint on my brush, spread the bristles out, I dab off some of the color if I need to, and then with those bristles spread out, I move the brush lightly over the trunk, and that helps to get some line texture on the trunk of the tree. I really like the effect that this dry brushing gives to the trunk. You just got to keep spreading the bristles of your brush as you are working. It doesn't damage the bristles. You can easily wet your brush and put them back into shape at the end. And there's the final sketch. Thank you so much for joining me today. Please hit the like button and let me know what you think in the comments box below. Until next time, bye for now.